South Africa have lost the first test against New Zealand by 281 runs. And I am very disappointed about the way our batters performed in the first and second innings, particularly our top order batters. Um, and I will get into why I'm disappointed about the performance from a batter's perspective. The bowlers as well. I feel that there weren't enough consistency. There wasn't enough consistency from our bowlers and consistent plans as a unit, as a bowling unit, to try and stop, particularly Kane Williamson. And there is going to be a hell of a lot of talking, concentration, work to be done for that second test in Hamilton. There's quite a few reasons why I will speak about my disappointment about the day. Okay, we do know that we weren't necessarily expecting anything miraculous as a fan base here, but there are certain things that I'm disappointed about, and I'm going to be covering it on today's show. Bear with me if I make some mistakes. I've obviously been up all night covering this game, so and making sure that I can watch this and analyze it so that I can give you guys a show. So we're going to dive into the review of the first test, and I'm going to give you my summary as well as my analysis of what I felt could have been done better, what I felt went wrong in this test match, from a South African standpoint. But before we get going, before we get started, there's a couple of things I'd like you guys to please do. First and foremost, we are getting closer to that 5,000 subscriber milestone. So please subscribe, click that notification bell for all future videos. Send this channel to all the people, friends, colleagues that you know, family members that you know that love South African cricket, because we're trying to build a community of South African cricket lovers. Generally speaking, what I call a fanatic is someone that is as passionate about the game as all of the guys that have subscribed here are. They support domestic cricket, they watch the 19s, they are trying to improve their knowledge on the game constantly. They don't necessarily think they know everything about cricket. They constantly learning about the game as well. Like myself, I'm trying to still learn about this game. I'm still trying to get more knowledge on certain players. There's a lot that I don't know about this game. This has given me an opportunity to share what I do, the little that I do know, and picking up more information from the fans out there, like you guys. That's why the live chat is so important, because I learn a lot from you guys too. So this is a community that we're building to try and help educate, entertain, and inform South African cricket fans about everything in South African cricket. So share this with anybody that you know that is a cricket fan and a South African cricket fan. We've also launched something very special called the Cricket Fanatics Magazine Business Corner. This is our way of trying to help the cricket community. We've built the Business Corner to help small businesses to medium enterprises market and their products and services effectively and affordably, as well as their brands as well. If you are looking to do so, we are the only viable option around. Whether you are a cricket business or whether you are not, we can help you with your marketing here at Cricket Fanatics Magazine. But the Cricket Fanatics Mag Business Corner is trying to collect as many contacts and as many clients that are interested in marketing to a cricket audience. So if you know any businesses, if you know anybody out there that is a startup, that has a business, that are trying to sell products, that are entrepreneurs, and they're looking to market their company, but they are getting too many too expensive quotes, or the marketing prices or advertising space is too expensive, send them our way. We can help them. I promise you guys that. We are trying to do something good here for the cricket community, because we feel that everything is interlinked. If we can help more cricket businesses make more money and flourish, that will help us as well. And then it will help the cricket community as a whole too. So we are trying to do our good, um, give back as much as we can from the knowledge that we've learned and from the skills that we have and from the platform that we've grown over the last couple of years. So please go ahead and check that out and send the link to everybody far and wide. You can also download the latest issue of Cricket Fanatics magazine monthly. Every issue is 100% free straight to your inbox every single month. Link is on the screen as well as in the description. So, guys, without further ado, let's get straight into today's video. A very good morning and welcome to Cricket Fanatics magazine. This is your review show. I'm your host, Khalid Moeddin. This is the show where we talk about everything that happened in the first test between New Zealand and South Africa. It is day 4. So that's the first positive. We made it to day 4, guys. Almost till the end of day 4, to be honest. But let's get real. Let's get into the criticism. Let's get into the discussion. And let's start analyzing what took place. So we know that New Zealand declared on 179 for 4. They gave South Africa a mammoth target to chase. And it was over 500. I think it was 429, if I'm not mistaken. And South Africa came out to bat this morning. And I was extremely disappointed. And I'll tell you why. But let me first give you the summary of what took place. So we came out to bat this morning. Neil Brandt lasted 8 balls and then lost his wicket. He was bowled beautifully by Saudi, actually. And then Edward Moore went out for a duck. In my opinion, playing an unnecessary shot. And he drove the ball on the up and he couldn't keep the ball down. And he hit it straight to extra cover. And that's only after facing 8 balls. And South Africa were, at that point, South Africa were in deep trouble. After 3.1 overs, 5 for 2, and struggling. And then I got some hope and I got some delight from Reinhard van Tonder and Zubair Hamza. I think that the two of them really batted well to consolidate the innings and survive actually until lunch. And I thought, these two are doing the hard yards. They're playing in the right way. They're riding their luck. All of the right things they were doing. And then after the break, something weird happened, which I don't understand. Reinhard van Tonder suddenly played at a wide delivery that was hitting 5th stump, basically. And he edged the ball to slip. 31 of 83 balls, spent 119 minutes at the crease, really put in a lot of effort to get himself in and lost his wicket. Then shortly after, South Africa on 73 for 4 in the 33rd over. That was in the 31st over, by the way. Then on the last ball of the 33rd over, Zubair Hamza played an unnecessary pull shot, and a very soft dismissal, very disappointing. After 92 balls, 126 minutes at the crease, he goes out for 36. And then South Africa were at that point in a very difficult spot. And it was almost impossible at that point for them to actually try and get close to that target ultimately. that they were aiming to go for. And I think a lot of us would have just been, I think we would have been okay with us getting closer to that target. And then David Bedingham and Keegan Peterson came to the crease, and the two of them consolidated the innings quite well. I think they batted well together, particularly David Bedingham. He came out though with a vengeance. He came out with an attacking approach, his natural game plan, and he was really, really good. He counter-attacked New Zealand fantastically. He completely changed the script on New Zealand. They, he made them think about their plans, and they had a short ball plan against him that he completely annihilated. He hit at one point he hit two sixes and a four in a row, and he sailed to his second Test half century, and was looking extremely good for his 87 of 96 balls. He hit 13 fours, three sixes at a strike rate of 90.62. We don't normally talk about strike rates, but this one is worthwhile talking about. And he spent 113 minutes at the crease. He took South Africa to 178 for 5, 50 in 56.3 overs, and him and Keegan Peterson took the team to the tea break. And I was like, yes, they survived till tea. I was extremely happy because that meant that they would go into the dugout, calm a bit down, have something small to eat and drink, relax a bit, speak to the coaches, come out again, and then graft and try and survive the first 30 minutes, and then try and survive the rest of the innings of the day. That's what I thought would happen. And the complete opposite happened. David Bedingham came out with the same mentality, trying to pull majority of the deliveries. He got lucky off his first shot that he hit. It just dropped short, and then he found the fielder uh, at mid wicket. And credit to New Zealand, they stayed true to their plans of banging it in short, and it paid off. He mistimed the shot, and I thought that you almost need to, when after tea break, you almost need to come reprogram yourself and get yourself back into the game again. You know, we must also remember that the bowlers also had a break and would have gone and spoken to their analysts and their coaches, and they would be a little bit more refreshed coming out at tea. So you just need to survive that first 10, 20 minutes to an half an hour, and just go back into a mode of almost re-getting your eye, I would say, in again, or you're getting your flow back and your rhythm back. And when you're on 87, you are on the brink of 100 and a maiden 100 for South Africa. So it was very disappointing from that perspective, but I can't criticize him too much, because he really batted well, and he needs to take credit for the way he batted today. And it was fantastic and entertaining to watch. I'm actually more upset with Keegan Peterson because Keegan also did the hard yards once again, got himself in, and then he played a rash shot, a shot that he didn't need to play, especially after losing a wicket so soon. And South Africa were 181 when he lost his wicket, and that was just 3 overs later that he went and tried something out of out of the characteristics of what he was performing at that moment, and lost his wicket cheaply as well. And at that point, I was extremely disappointed because these are the two senior players in the side, the two that we are saying should be in the Proteas side anyway, in the first team, or be fighting for a spot in the first team. And we get um, to bad decisions and shot selections from these two players. So I was very disappointed with that, as well. And then Ruanda Swart came out and batted extremely well, 34, 56 balls, 4 fours. And he just couldn't find someone to stick around with him ultimately in the end. Clyde Fontaine, I don't know. It was a very unlucky wicket. It was there was like a half tracker down on middle and leg, and he tries to pull, but it fell straight onto Latham's knee, and the ball rocketed and popped straight up into the keeper's into the keeper's path, and a simple catch for him. And South Africa won 199 at that point, almost on 200. And then the rest just fell. Dwan Olivier for 1, Tsepo Moreki for 6. Dane Patterson came out again, scored a decent 15. Got South Africa to 247, the two of them, him and Ruben de Swart. And then Dane Patterson lost his wicket as well. So 247 was our second innings total. And South Africa lost by 281 runs. So quite a dominant victory by New Zealand, as expected by many. So at least we didn't, at least we didn't disappoint with that. I'm just joking. Okay, so let me get into why I'm disappointed. Why am I upset about certain things and the way this team performed? Because our batters are better than this. Our batters aren't as bad as what was displayed on the scorecard. First and foremost, New Zealand's bowlers, yes, they are extremely good. And I commend the consistencies from their bowlers. They know exactly how to put the ball consistently in a dangerous zone, but that requires our batters to make better decisions in the middle and to make better shot selection choices for certain deliveries. From a positive perspective, when you're walking into this game, at least the one positive for the opposition that are facing this team is that there are no 140 plus bowlers in this team. There are no high 130s in this team. It's low 130s and high 120s bowlers in this team. They've got Mitchell Santner was getting a hell of a lot of spin with a new ball, even getting a hell of a lot of degrees of turn. But I felt that we coped with this, and you know what? The mere fact that our bowlers faced as many balls that they did before they lost their wickets proves to me that they can handle this. It proves to me that they can handle the New Zealand attack. It proves to me that they have the ability to be able to take on this New Zealand team and give them a proper fight. What concerns me is that there have been all the wickets, majority of them, actually all of them, except maybe Neil Brandt's wicket and Reina van Tonder's wicket in the first innings. All of them have been they have been because our batters threw their wickets away. The poor shot selection, for example, I'll start um, with Eddie Moore. When you're that early in your innings and you haven't scored a run yet, there is no need for a rash shot like that. Knock the ball into the gaps, make sure that your defense is good, get yourself in, and then bowl your way into the match. Zubair Ramza, why are you pulling a ball or fetching a ball from off to try and pull it when that ball was, you would have been probably luckier if you or got a better result if you tried and maybe cut that or chip it or edge it over the slips or into the third man region. um Drainer van Tonde, I mean, from playing domestic cricket, you shouldn't chase balls on fifth stump. So a terrible selection, a terrible shot selection There shouldn't have been a hunger to try and score boundaries from our bowlers, from our batters. Like, off. At least not today. Today should have been all about survival and batting out as long as possible and chipping away at the target slowly and but surely. When there's a ball to hit, you hit it, but try and resist it. I mean, try not to fish at deliveries that don't need to be hit. In Test cricket, especially in this circumstances, it's okay to leave a delivery that's going um, down leg, or it's okay to leave a delivery that is going in the fifth stump region or on the offside that is a little bit wider. That's perfectly fine. Play boring cricket. It's okay, especially when you are chasing a massive target like 529 runs. So the reason why I'm disappointed is because I know that these players are better than that. These batters are a lot better than that. And I think that concerns me the most about this test match. By no means did I expect a massive victory against New Zealand. Um, I understood that this team is inexperienced. I understood that this is the most amount of debuts in a test match since 1992. I understood all of these things as a cricket fan, as a South African cricket fan. But the one thing I spoke about on my previous show, and I think a lot of you guys agreed, is that we wanted a fight and the we wanted to see at least these players apply themselves correctly. Now, the reason why I'm so upset, not upset, but disappointed about this whole thing is that they went half the way there. They started off well, and then I don't know what switched in their brains to change what had worked for them. And you know what Kane Williamson proved it as well. Okay, this was a little bit of a slower wicket, sometimes uneven bounce, but by no means was this a wicket that was extremely difficult to bat on. It was a wicket, though, that you needed to be patient on, and that's what Kane Williamson proved. That's what Rachin Ravindra proved. That you have to bide your time out here and fight in the middle. What the New Zealand commentators did not actually speak about was the edges. They didn't react to the edges that South African batters had that went to the boundary or went past slip, as they did with Kane Williamson when he edged a couple of balls to the boundary and that's what or drop short at slips. They almost called it part of his game plan. So that's not a criticism on them because they know how world class Kane Williamson is. But Kane Williamson played with soft hands in this test match. He always does play with soft hands, I guess. But by him playing with soft hands, it almost eliminates the chances of the ball flying to the slips if he does edge one. So he can ease his way into the game with and eliminating that threat. Like it's about eliminating threats within a match. So, for example, with David Bedingham, he went out to a pull shot in the first game. They lured him in to play it, and he fell for the trap. This time, he demolished that short ball plan, but New Zealand had runs in hand, and they knew that. They knew they prolonged with it, that if he makes a mistake, he's going to Q1. He's not going to get every single one for 6 or for 4. So they continued after T. When concentrations have settled a bit, when your focus has settled a bit or has shifted a bit, they put it in bang short immediately after T. So he would fall for the trap, and he fell for the trap. And that's what Test cricket's about. It's about thinking about those things. Eliminate that threat immediately. don't go for it. Then New Zealand has to change their game plan and has to switch it up because you're not going for it. Duck a bit for the short delivery in the first few. You know you might get it later on again, and there will be an opportunity for you to score again. This has to be almost like the child, like the kid, like that children's experiment. Sorry, that children's experiment, the marshmallow test. That's how you need to play over here. You play. You know that if you wait, you're gonna get a second marshmallow, and that's basically how they need to they need to think about this. The approach over here is that your runs will come, sticks stay out there. You have 2 days to bat. You literally had 2 days to bat. So survive this first day, and then you have the whole of tomorrow to try and go for it. See, I would have liked them to set up themselves and then go for it, try and go for the win, and then we will all be happy. Whether they won or lost the match, I think we would have all been happy in that case if we could have taken it into day 5 and have still wickets in hand. So I'm disappointed by the way we lost our wickets and the decisions that were made, because I feel that these players are experienced enough domestically where they've been experienced enough domestically and would have faced scenarios enough to have been able to deal with what New Zealand dished out at them. I honestly believe that. The only thing that they wouldn't have been prepared for, some of them, would have been the instant accuracy and consistency and quality that they are getting throughout the match. Generally speaking, in first class cricket, you kind of get a let off for a couple of spells. So you'll get like maybe 1 or 2 great spells from 2 good bowlers, and then you'll get a spell from when the change happens. You might get, depending on what team you're playing against, you might get an opportunity to score runs off a worse bowler, and then you kind of can put those balls away. But you need to almost be prepared as a batter in Test cricket that almost every delivery, there's a thought behind it. Now, New Zealand proved as well that they're human. They're not a machine. They're not. Uh, they're not a machine. So they will give you a couple of loose deliveries. The loose deliveries will come, and tiredness will creep in. And this New Zealand attack is also quite old, so tiredness will kick in at some point. You need to grind it out and wear them out. And I think Coach Shukri and I think the players would be disappointed with the shot selection and the way they lost their wickets. You could see by their faces and the way they walked off the field that they were disappointed by the situation. Now, I'm no expert and I'm no coach, so I don't know how you rectify something like that. From I don't know how the coach changes that mentality heading into the second test and the last test, because that's the one thing that needs to be rectified going into that second test. I don't with regard. I know we're missing experienced players like Captain says, but that I don't think is an excuse for playing terrible shots to lose your wicket. That has nothing to do with that. You can have any experienced player by your side, and you can still make that mistake. Those mistakes happened against India, where players played rash shots and lost their wickets. So I think that's something maybe that Coach Shukri will probably be working on, is that mentality and concentrations for longer periods. And that's the situation that we are sitting in. And I'm disappointed because I feel that this 11, well, at least I felt that this batters are good enough to at least score 300 plus. I honestly think that they can do something like that. And we fell way short. We are not this bad. We almost conceded to the reports. Like New Zealand already have the New Zealand press, and I'm sure too some of the commentators and some of the players believe that this team is really terrible and these batters are terrible. But I'm going to be 100% honest here, they're not. The only players that are in this 11 that have not been spoken about in the past for possible Proteas call-ups is Clyde Fontaine and maybe Neil Brandt. Neil Brandt started gaining traction last year and a bit this year when he got selected for SAA, but there wasn't really a lot of talk about him previously as one of the main guys to want to be selected. But the rest of them, Reinhard van Tonde, Eddie Moore, Zubair Hamza, Keegan Peterson, David Bedingham, they've all been spoken about as potential Proteas. And three of them have played for the Proteas already. One of them, in Reinhard van Tonde, has been spoken about as maybe being ready for the next step up, and he's been in and around the Test side. Has never got his debut, so it's actually not as bad of a team as people are making it out to be. They're saying it's third, second string, whatever. I think that perhaps the only players that have missed, the only second string players that have maybe missed an opportunity over here is um, is maybe Ryan Rickleton that's playing SA20. He might have gotten an opportunity over here if he wasn't in the SA20. I'm thinking of players that would have possibly gotten an opportunity ahead of some of the guys here. I think maybe Jordan Herman would have maybe got an opportunity, but not if the first 11 was available. But if they were available, Ruan and Jordan Herman will probably get, Matthew Bretsky might have gotten an opportunity. Those are some of the guys that perhaps would have gotten an opportunity if these players weren't available. If the first team wasn't available, only the first team wasn't available. So yeah, these players are a lot better than what they proved in this match, particularly in that first innings and as well in the second innings. I think that they should have played a lot better. And they proved that by getting themselves in and getting a solid foundation and start, and then losing their wickets cheaply. So let me get into the live chat and see what you guys have to say. That's just my quick summary and analysis of what took place. Sam saying Aiden Markham catch. That was a brilliant catch. Fantastic that Sunrisers Eastern Cape are going to. It's great for the tournament that the defending champions are actually in the final first. It's great for the tournament and for tournament awareness. So brilliant win by SEC. And today we're going to see who's going to face the Durban Super Giants in the qualifier 2. And it's getting to the business end of the tournament here, guys, and it's getting exciting. Matt 92 says, well played innings from Bedingham, but his dismissal was soft. He should have gotten 100. Spot on, Matt. Bedingham is the only batter in this lineup that cemented his place in the Test side going forward, 100%. I like how Bedingham played. He definitely needs to be in the one-day side. Maybe in the future, he should be. A couple of more games for Western Province in the list day tournaments, and perhaps we will see him there. Lorenzo says, geez, I'm disappointed in KP. He is the one guy that the selectors always backed, but yet to repay the country and yet to repay and the well consistent run, and country was consistent with consistent runs and centuries. He's such a talent, yet the maturity isn't there. I'm so disappointed with KP, such a talent, yet he still has not repaid South Africa, CSA, who have always backed him. I think his days are numbered. The last test, in my opinion, will be his last chance. Um, no disrespect to the other batters, but you can see that Bedingham is a class above the rest. The guy is clearly on a mission. Even the New Zealand commentators have very high praise for him. And I want to shout out Cash Naidu. Thanks a lot, Cash, for giving us a shout out on commentary this morning and basically promoting our interview with David Bedingham that's on this channel. So thanks a lot for doing that. It really made me happy at 4 a.m. in the morning. It put a smile on my face. So yeah, guys, go watch that video. Go watch that interview. David gives his whole journey from the beginning till his Proteas debut. So it's it's an interview that is a must watch for all cricket fans and David Bedingham fans. There's something I want to talk about at the end of the year. Um, after I get to the comments. Notice, okay, Lorenzo says, Khalid, the things that's even more disappointing is that this wicket was the way easier than what we get here. So that for me is even more disappointing from a batting point of view. And also, Lorenzo, what irritated me, right? I know these bowlers are really good, right? But what irritated me is that they weren't bowling, they weren't like 145 bowlers coming in here swinging like Bumrah or Siraj and making it like almost impossible to play. A lot of those deliveries were easier to block and easy to leave. A lot of the deliveries, I mean, even the deliveries for the wickets, they were leavable deliveries. It's not at what it's we are. I think we oversight or over. I almost think that we over no, not estimated. That's the wrong thing. We we gave. I think we gave way too much respect to this New Zealand team. I'm not saying that this New Zealand team is not world class. They are, and almost feel like we showed way too much like caution. That's the word, not respect. Caution. We played overly cautious to a point that we became overly rash out of desperation. So like if you on this wicket, I felt if you just played a normal test type innings, leave the balls that are on off stump, leave the balls that are flying down leg stump, block the balls that are hitting this that are on target, hitting that are on target on the wickets. Put the bad balls away. Run between the wickets. You'd be okay. You'd survive. So that was disappointing, man. Because I mean, like I said, this batting lineup. People can say all they want about inexperience and these your debuts and all of that. It's all bull for me because these players we wanted these players, a lot of these players, to play in the Proteas 11. When Peter Malan got selected for the Proteas against England, we were all calling for a lot of us were calling for Eddie Moore's name as the next in line opener. Hell, when he wasn't selected in this team, a lot of us were disappointed. The only reason he got selected is because Tony Rizorzi went to play SA cricket, which SA 20 cricket, which I still believe is a bad decision on his part. I feel that he should have prioritized, but you can't also criticize him at all because it's good money. I mean, this money can actually set you up for a long time. It can really help you financially. So I can't really have a dig at him because it's not necessarily his fault that he gets picked up. And he doesn't have the cushion like David Bedingham has of having a county contract and earning big bucks overseas. But Reiner van Tonder, he's been a player that I've admired for a long time, and I've said that he should be in and around the Proteas team. He's been in and around the Proteas test squad. I think he would have possibly even gotten a chance if he didn't get injured or sick or whatever the case may be at that time. Zubair Hamza played for the Proteas already. He was supposed to be the incumbent number 3 after for Hashim Amla to come in there, show his class. Would have gotten, I think, a lot more chances if he didn't get that ban. Keegan Peterson has been in the test side for a while now. He's been given a hell of a lot of chances and he's been backed by plenty of coaches. Boucher got backed by Boucher and he's getting backed by Shukri Conrad still. So I don't think there should be any excuses or any for these players because I feel that they're a lot better than what they showed. I'm missing the experience of their main players. Whatever others say, the first 11 is still good enough. Lorenzo says even Rwanda Swat was spoken about before. Glenton. Matt92 says Hamza scores a good 20 or 30, then gets out cheaply. We was hoping he come good by now. Yeah, and he's done this more than one occasions. Um, on more than one occasion. Sorry, Lorenzo says, in my opinion, CSA messed up with a few players in the SA20. People like Timba, who CSA knew wouldn't play a lot of games, could have rather played for the Proteas. Communication between CSA and SA20 could have been better. They had the conversation, Lorenzo. Like, I don't blame CSA for this. I honestly don't. Um, because they did ask permission for certain players to get released, and SA20 refused to give those players up. So they need to have better negotiations, yes, and they need to make sure that they can have those conversations with SA20 and find a way, because I don't think they need to be steadfast on this particular scheduling. Really, I don't. Because when this test was played, there were a hell of a lot of games in between where the stadiums were empty. So even with star players in those squads and teams, it didn't create a drive to come to the stadiums because it's work. So, like, it wouldn't have made a difference, in fact. And a lot of some of our pro teams are even out of the competition at this point. They're going to be sitting and watching the SA20 when they could be on a plane to New Zealand. So there needs to be some sort of clause in there that needs to be put in that, for example, if a situation like this happens where teams have been eliminated early and there's no chance for them to win, they can go play international duty. The overseas players can do it. So why can't our players do it? Um, there needs to be some sort of agreement within the contract for that. And I think that a change in the scheduling can happen, can take place. Either the tournament can be played maybe a week earlier, or they can maybe play the tournament in a different window. Because even with the summer window that they picked, it was still had rain affected games, etc. So they need to come up with some sort of scheduling plan or something like that, because we can't be doing this again in Test cricket. We can't be disrespecting Test cricket like this. It's the pinnacle of our game, and I understand we need the money, but you can still make your money if you have a different scheduling time, because like I said, the evidence is there. Even with these star players available, even with this prime window that they're talking about, there's been empty stadiums in these week games. Even on the weekend, not all of the games have been sold out. I feel we got the toss wrong. We had to bat. Like yesterday's qualifier wasn't. It was quite empty, and then it rained, and then people left. I understand that part, but it was quite empty even before that. I feel we got the toss wrong. We had to bat first. I don't think that was the reason. I think the reason we decided to bowl first was because we clearly don't trust this young, fragile batting lineup. But I also feel that we thought that our bowlers would be able to exploit the morning conditions a lot better than toiling away in the middle overs when the ball, um, when the pitch is a little bit softer or whatever the case, more drier. I think they thought that they could get a lot more wickets in that opening sessions than they did. And we started off brilliantly, getting 2 early wickets, but we just couldn't get Kane Williamson and Ravindra out. They just had a good plan. And I also feel that there was maybe one thing that they could have done now in hindsight, that I feel, to get Kane Williamson out earlier, was to move the slips a little bit up. Rather let the ball go past you like waist height, or like shoulder height, because there's a better chance of you trying to catch it there than for it to drop short. We know that Kane Williamson bats with softer hands, so you could have put your slips up a little further so that you could almost guarantee that you were going to get a catch. Matt92 says we bowled first because of the grass covering on the pitch, but in the end, it didn't have an effect on the bowling that first day. Yeah, And that's what we thought was going to happen, and it didn't come through. Rangers is a great guarded, and let's be honest, many players in this team was pissed when they didn't get opportunities earlier. Yet now the only opportunity they f up so far. Yeah. So I'm not going to get too much ahead of myself. There is another test still to prove themselves, and it's a pity that this is not a 3-day test series out of like 3 days or 4 days. A 3 test or 4 test series. That would have been a lot better. Lorenzo says, if there's injuries in the squad, can the Proteas that's been knocked out be called up? I think they can be. If there's injuries in the squad, yes, because um, the rule is once a squad has been selected for a series and has been what's the word I'm looking for? Um, Once it's been sent in and has been selected, you can't make any changes to that squad until there is an injury or something happens. So there is a possibility that that can happen. And also, New Zealand is a hell of a long way away. So it's going to take some time for these players to acclimatize and recover from jet lag before they can actually play with the long flights, etc. So if any of them had to go, they needed to go like now to try and get a couple of days there to acclimatize and to get over the jet lag. Wonderboy says a shout out to Othniel Batman. I think Dale Steyn is playing an impact in his bowling lineup. In this bowling lineup, yes, he definitely is. But they also have very good bowlers that are very good at keeping a consistent line and length. So that's what made the Sunrisers so good. Their bowling in the power plays has been excellent, and Othniel Bartman has been phenomenal. Marco Jansen has improved, has found his way again, and he's bowling extremely well. So yeah. Matt says, what speed does Quena Mapaka bowl? I'm not sure. There's never been a gun, a speed gun for that. For me to be able to see. Lorenzo asking about the scheduling. Who do we play next? I'm just pulling up the schedule right now. So May we go on a tour to West Indies, 3 T20s. That's before the T20 World Cup. And then in July, South Africa tour Ireland in 2024, 3 ODIs and 3 T20s. Then in August, South Africa tour West Indies for 2 tests and 5 T20s. So we play in August again against the West Indies in the West Indies. And the West Indies team is looking quite like they're starting to get themselves into a decent space where they're playing good test cricket. And then October, November, we tour Bangladesh for 2 test matches. And then November, December, Sri Lanka tour South Africa for 2 test matches. And then December, January, which is during the SA20, Pakistan tour of South Africa to 2 test matches, 3 ODIs and 3 T20s. That's in 2025. And then February 2025, Pakistan Tri-Series. There's 4 ODIs matches in Pakistan. I don't know what that is. And then June 2025, South Africa tour of Zimbabwe, 2 tests. And then, yeah, September we then play T20s and ODIs. And then the next test will be October, November tour of Pakistan in October, November 2025. And then November, December 2025, South Africa tour India for 2 tests. January, February 2026, West Indies tour of South Africa, but that's 5 T20s. So, yeah, that's the schedule moving forward. What speed does Kwena Mapaka bowl? I couldn't answer that. Kwena and Tristan Lewis looking good against India under 19. I've been impressed with Lewis and I've been impressed with Kwena, but I've also been impressed with Riley Norton. I think those are three positive from the bowlers' perspectives that came out of this tournament. Unfortunate loss by the South African under 19s, by the way. Uh, I had to cover that. The New Zealand tour, cover that. I was like a zombie at the stadium yesterday, guys. Like, really, I struggled to stay awake. Um, only got like an hour to sleep in between because I had to cover the under 19 World Cup game, and then I had to go to the stadium for the qualifier. So I was dead, and I need to catch up on that sleep today somehow. Find a way on how to 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 get that to catch up on that sleep. But okay, so the positives for me in the under 19 World Cup has been the 21 wickets that Quinn Amapaka took. But I still think we need to be patient with his transition into domestic cricket. I think his career needs to be watched very closely, and they need to have a plan of how they're going to integrate him into international cricket in the years to come. And I feel that he needs to play some domestic cricket and improve his game, play some first class cricket, particularly where he has to bowl 20 overs, 10 overs, 15, 16, 17 overs, 20 overs, etc. He needs to get that under his belt and condition himself for that. Tristan Lewis is a positive because with the bat as well as with the ball. Riley Norton as well with the bat as well with the ball. Those are guys that need to go play first class cricket. I feel their batting will improve then. And then with the bat, obviously Steve Stork, but there's a lot of work to do there still. He's by no means a finished product. He has a lot of talent. He has a lot of raw talent, but he needs to go play first class cricket. I think that Devon Murray is my pick out of the guys, but still, you also need some development. And I think Luandre Pretorius actually looks the most comfortable with his game, I feel, out of all the batters. From what I've seen, he looks a lot more comfortable and has a better understanding of his game than the other batters. Even I feel more than Tristan, more than Steve Stoke. Um, I feel that Steve Stoke knows one way, and he does that when he comes off. It's magnificent to watch, and he's extremely talented. But these players need to go play first class cricket. Really, guys, that's where they learn how to mold their game. Why does David Bedingham look so good out in the middle? Because he prioritized first class cricket his whole life. That's why he looks this good. He looks so comfortable in his technique out there in the middle because of that. So I believe that is so important. Same with Deval Brevis. So important, this first class game. He's going to teach him a lot. He's gotten a couple of ducks now in first class cricket. They've worked him out a bit. And yes, he's got a couple of hundreds too, because that's his talent. He will get success. But also he's going to fail. And that failure is so important for your development and your mentality. What I want to speak about is I want to ask you guys, how many chances do you give a guy in the Proteas setup? I heard on commentary today that Jacques Callis got 10 innings, 10 test matches of scoring absolutely no runs. I think it was in the first 4 or 5 matches, he averaged 9. In the next five, or the next 9 or 10 matches, he averaged 20 odd, and they stuck with him. They mentioned a couple of other legends that also struggled in the beginning of their careers and then were backed and then went on to have magnificent test careers. So how many games do you give a player to and back a player in this test arena is a question that you can put in the answer that you can put in the comment section after this video has gone live, not in the live chat, but in the comment section. I would like to know what you guys think. But guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Thanks a lot for joining me on this morning shows and this review shows. I'm so happy that a lot of you guys are still interested in test cricket. That means that I'm doing my job right. So thanks a lot for tuning in. Marwan says, any chance CSA will send a bowler down to New Zealand as an option for the next test? Not an option unless there's an injury. So thanks a lot for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. And I'll see you guys again with another daily show very soon. Stay safe. Enjoy the rest of your evening. The next test will be played on the 13th or the 13th of February, I think. I think. Yeah, 13th of February. So I'll see you guys again with review shows for that and preview shows for that, etc. Tomorrow we will do a show after the Eliminator, um, because obviously there's no game test cricket, and we'll probably react to what Shukri Conrad has to say after this performance. So if we get the video, etc., and it gets sent to us. So thanks a lot for watching. Stay safe. We're gonna upload a press conference from David Bedingham now, so you can check that out on the channel very soon. Thanks a lot for joining and tuning in, and I'll see you guys very soon. Peace out, everyone.